10 social media thoughts. Here's what I think about what the new reality for emergency management and crisis communications is in the light of the omnipresence of social media and mobile devices, what I call social convergence. The first thing is that it's now harder for organizations to be relevant. In fact, they absolutely have to use the tool that their audiences use, and that means being on social networks and using mobile devices, or they run the risk of being irrelevant. For government agencies, there's no worse fate. Second, speed is everything. So every emergency response plan or business continuity plan should have a crisis communications plan associated with it. Plan heavy on social media, heavy on outreach using mobile devices and social networks. It's very simple. You occupy the public place or somebody else will, and they won't necessarily have the best intentions. Next, you need to be in a position to have an immediate impact. Lots of organizations still think that they can somehow control the message. Well, we're in an era now of message competition and not message control. So you have to be present, you have to be heard and trusted amongst, often enough, hundreds of conversations online, particularly on social networks. You're no longer essential. With social convergence, people have become their own broadcasters and their own alerting networks. So you have to find a way to insert yourself, your organization, your messages into that complex relationship that people have with one another, their friends, their family, and so on. So how can you add to the conversation? How can you be in a position to identify and correct misinformation? Every incident has a reputation component to it. And so opinions on social media matter. You have to be able to understand what's being said about your organization, about your response to any incident, and those perceptions are shaped in the public's mind within minutes. So be on the ball and listen. It's important also to, when you do social media outreach in a crisis, not to do so in a vacuum. You have to make sure that whoever is handling your social media networks and outreach are part or integrated among your crisis cell. It's important also to think about the people, the audience you're serving. What you're doing is not about the technology, it's not about the tools. Social networks are tools. Not unto themselves are they a strategy. So you need to write procedures that allow your people to quickly get off the mark and do what they need to do to make sure your messages get across in a time of emergency. So you have to be engaging and credible. And it's about trust and credibility. So it's too late to jump on the social media bandwagon when a crisis erupts. You have to be there well beforehand and earn that trust and garner the support of key influencers that will often come to your defense in a crisis. So basically what comes to this, organizations that listen in a crisis have a much better chance to be heard. They have a better understanding of how the incident evolves, and they are in a position to quickly identify the needs of their key stakeholders and audiences. In other words, organizations that listen respond better. And here's why you should listen to social media in an emergency. There are 5 key reasons why you need to do that. First, to verify the effectiveness of your own messaging. How is it disseminating? Are people acting on your recommendations? Second, identify and route calls for help to appropriate channels. 3, detect and counter rumors. That has now become, in my opinion, the foremost key priority of any joint information center, for example, for complex emergencies or incidents. Fourth, you need to identify any kind of reputational threat, especially from key influencers that may impede your ability as an organization to fulfill your mandate in a crisis. We all answer to senior executives or elected officials. When they feel the pressure, we feel the pressure. And finally, and this is very important, and we'll come back to this in a further video, is use the intel that's being spread by people, by the crowd, in an emergency to greatly enhance your situational awareness. Thank you for your time.